Okay, so this is going to be my video over the recent Tactical Sniper Series DMR match that took place at Clinton House here in South Carolina. If you're new to the channel, normally what I will do is we'll do the intro, go straight to match footage with no commentary. Then we'll do a gear overview and then come back and walk through each stage with my thoughts. However, unfortunately, this match was on a really windy day, so the audio from the match is pretty bad. So instead of doing this set of match footage with no commentary, I'm just going to do the footage with my commentary, so you guys don't have to listen to just wind noise. So that means we'll go ahead and do the gear overview right now. So starting with the boring stuff, the shooting bags. I just use these cheap Caldwell bags because I don't feel like upgrading. My original plan was to use just the smaller bag because at the previous match I used with this rifle, it seemed like this bag worked better with this rifle just overall. However, there were a few stages where I needed the bigger bag, so I ended up using both bags. Moving on to pistol stuff. So I was using my SIG P210. The holster is a cheap, sort of custom-made holster that I got from a local gun store. They have, holster kits so that way they can make you a custom holster. So that's what I've been using for the P210. It's a very nice gun. I like it a lot. The magazines for it, 8 rounds. The magazine holders, these are just some 3D printed magazine holders that I made for myself. They just go on my belt, and they're not super tight or anything, like they'll fall right out, but these are fine for this style of match. Now for the rifle itself, this is my Tabuk sniper rifle reproduction. This was made by Two Rivers Arms. It's a very nice rifle. I enjoy shooting it quite a bit, which is why I'm using it at this match. It's not competitive, but hey, it's a lot of fun, and that's what matters. Ammo I was using for this match, PMC Bronze 7.62x39. Unfortunately, I had to stop using the AAC 7.62x39. Their newer stuff that they've come out with the silver case, shoots way worse than the previous stuff I've used. So if you saw the video I did with this rifle earlier in the year, I was using the AAC ammo, and I was able to get 20 rounds into about 2.5 inches at 100 yards, which is pretty good for an AK. Unfortunately, the new stuff, it opened up to about 4.5 MOA. So that's beyond the point where I'm comfortable taking that to a match. That's really bad. So I ended up having to try out a few other kinds of ammo to see if there's anything out there that can replace that stuff. The best thing I found for the money was the PMC Bronze. I know for a fact that the Hornady Black 7.62x39, that stuff does shoot good out of this rifle. However, I think it's either right at $1 a round or a little over $1 a round. I'm not paying $1 a shot for 7.62x39. I'm just not going to do it. So PMC Bronze is what I ended up using. It shoots about 2.5 to 3 MOA, so it's a little bit less accurate than the AAC stuff I was using. It's also a little bit faster. The AAC stuff I was using chronoed at about 2350 out of this length barrel, which is pretty slow. This stuff is shooting a little bit faster, right about 2420. So it's still a little on the slow side. I would like to see velocity closer to 2480, 2475. If I could get something to go 2500, that'd be better. But this will work for just having fun. Now for the rifle itself, we'll talk about it. So starting at the tip, I have a Silencer Co. 3-port ASR brake. I did not use a suppressor. Normally for these matches I shoot suppressed. However, for whatever reason, it seems like with this silencer, I'm having issues where the silencer body comes loose from the ASR mount itself, and it seems to only really happen on low pressure cartridges like 7.62x39 and 9mm. On 5.56, I don't have problems with it loosening, but on this gun it does. So I decided for this match, I didn't want that to cause accuracy issues, so I just left it off the gun. But yeah, so ASR brake mounted to a K&S Precision 14x1 left hand to 5/8 24 adapter. Moving back on the handguard, using a cheap Caldwell Harris clone bipod. If I take this off, I'll show you how I have it attached. So how I have it attached, I just drilled a hole in the handguard, put in a sling stud, and that's how I'm mounting the bipod. Let's see, scope. This is my Zeiss 4 to 25. This is the LRP S3, mounted in a primary arms mount. The side rail mount is a RS Regulate. This is the AK350 MS. So this is for, I believe this is for the PSL. This is a PSL rail. You'll see right here, there's a little bit of weird stuff sticking out the dust cover. That is a piece of rubber sheet that I put in there to act as a gasket. So when I shoot suppressed, a bunch of gas comes out the back here. That rubber just seals that up so I don't get gassed out. The stock, I have a 1913 pick rail adapter for M70 Yugo AKs. If you're not aware, the Tabuk rifles are basically just Yugo M70s with a long barrel. So yeah, the pick rail adapter to an a JMAC custom folding stock. I'm using the Magpul DT stock. So yeah, that's the rifle. Oh, and then magazines. I believe this is a KCI mag. I was using a few of these at the match. I didn't have any issues with them, so I think I'll keep using these mags. I think that's it for the rifle. We'll go ahead and get to the match footage. Alright, so my first stage at this match was stage 6. This was an interesting stage to start on because, contrary to what you'd expect from a DMR match, what was hard about this stage was not actually the rifle shooting, it was the pistol shooting. So you can see as I'm going through on rifle here, these targets, they're just under 300 yards, they're not super big, so they were relatively easy to get. What made the pistol shooting on this stage the harder part was because this first string of fire that you had to do with your pistol, you had to do weak hand only, which is not something that I practice, and it's not something that most of the people at the match today practiced. A lot of people struggled on this stage because of this sequence of fire right here. After I finished the stage, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I probably should have just skipped some of these targets because I sent a lot of rounds downrange. I think this one stage alone was about 50% of the rounds that I fired out of my pistol today. So there's a lot of missed rounds that I should have not missed, but oh well. I guess I know what I need to practice. Eventually I make it through, switch back to rifle. Again, the rifle part of this stage was not really that difficult. You can kind of see on this target, I'm missing low and low and right. Missing low is kind of a common theme today. It seemed like a lot of my shots were going about 2 MOA low. Get a good reload in right there. And then unfortunately run out of time. But yeah, that's it. On to the next one. Alright, so the next stage is stage 7. The first thing about this stage was that the first target was pretty small and it was on a post without a backdrop. So I knew I would not get any feedback if I missed. And of course, when I first take a few shots at it, I didn't hit it, so I got no feedback as to where I was missing. So what I decided to do was, there was a berm to the left of the target, so I decided to send a round into the berm to get a wind call. And so once I did that, I could see, my wind call came out to about 2 MOA, 3 MOA or so, something along those lines. And then once I got that, I was able to get through the stage without a huge amount of trouble. The small target was tricky, but, it's hard to shoot small targets when your gun does not shoot small groups. The big targets did present a little bit of trouble just because I was not holding enough wind. Now that I watch my footage back, I can see that. Get back.
Impact. 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 Impact.
Finally make it through rifle and switch to pistol. Unfortunately, I didn't get the pistol targets in camera or in frame, so you guys don't get to see them. But you can hear them. They were pretty big. They weren't very difficult to hit. On to the next one. Alright, so this is stage 1. Don't worry about the footage. Once I get in the bus, it gets turned the right way. This was the first stage in a string of stages where they were all train wrecks. The main issue on this stage was that the easy thing to blame is the wind. That was definitely a big factor on this stage. However, the other issue was that I was having elevation issues. So you saw that first plate was a first round impact. As I'm missing this second target, I'm missing kind of to the left and right, but my elevation is good. And then after those two targets, it seemed like the gun just decided to start dropping shots low. It's hard for me to say if that's actually what's happening or if that's just sort of the trend of how things were going. I'm not sure. All I know is that on this second string of fire, I couldn't figure out what was going on this first target. I had to send a round into the berm. The round that went into the berm was about 2 minutes low. And then when I started holding 2 minutes high on the rest of the targets, it seemed like I was hitting them reasonably well. As long as the wind was cooperating. But yeah, so for whatever reason, it seems like the gun is shooting low. That might be a heat effect. I'm not sure. I have not tested that with this gun, even though I really should, because, you know, I think that's kind of a well-known issue with AK-style DMRs like the PSLs and the SVDs is like once they get hot, the groups open up and then you have point of impact shift as well. So I should really do a test like that with this rifle, figure out what's going on, so see if it's predictable. But I have not done that yet. And then unfortunately, by the time I figure out the elevation thing, I've eaten up so much time that when I get to the last window, I run out of time. Oh well. We got the most important step. Set the power setting to 1000. So this is stage 2. I think this was probably the hardest stage of the day for the whole match. And that was because when you're at Clinton House, this particular, I guess, lane you want to call it, the wind blows through here and in a very weird and unpredictable way, at least for most people it seems like. And it just makes it really difficult to hit this particular target. This one next to this bus is very challenging to hit. Most of the people on my squad were unable to hit it. I eventually decided, instead of throwing all my ammo at that one target, I'm just going to skip it. So once I skip it, I get the next two targets. It takes me a few rounds to get the impact on the first one, but once I get it, the second one goes without issue.
You're under it, just under it. Just under it. Bring it in, Tony. You're just to the left of it. Half the target. Impact.
So make it through once and move on to repeat it. So again, if you rewind the video back to where I have the environmentals for this stage and the holds I was supposed to use, so those last two targets should have been a 15 and a 16 MOA hold. However, they ended up being, again, about 17 and 18 MOA hold. So again, it seems like my gun is shooting about 2 MOA low. compared to what it should be. So why it's doing that, I don't know. And then unfortunately I run out of ammo, decide to switch to pistol just to see if I can get any, and run out of time. So I didn't get any of the pistol either. Alright, so now on to stage 3. This was probably the stage that was the least doable for me. So what I mean by that is that this stage was a KYL rack at just under 200 yards. So as I said earlier, this gun is a 3 MOA gun. These targets get significantly smaller than 3 MOA. So obviously if I'm shooting at a 1 MOA target with a 3 MOA gun, chances are I'm not going to hit that target very consistently, and that's the way this worked. It also didn't help that the wind kicked up by this point in the day pretty hard. So this is 200 yards, right? I'm holding 4 to 5 MOA of wind. That's a lot. So yeah, I was definitely fighting the wind at this on this stage. I threw one shot at that small target, and I decided not to waste any more, so I kept going. Now, one of the things about this was that once I got into the bed of the truck, I did not take the time to set my bag down properly and set the rifle in the bag properly. And so the bag slipped out from my rifle, fell, and then I had to waste a bunch of time getting the rifle resituated. That was just a stupid mistake. I should have taken the time to get it set down right in the first place. I just didn't. But yeah, this stage went about as well as you would expect. I was glad it was over, and glad we're moving on to the next stage. Alright, so that was kind of the last really bad stage. Now we're on to stages that I actually finish. So this stage was fine, nothing super spectacular. I missed some pretty big targets at relatively close ranges, so that's cool. But luckily, since they are big targets, I can actually hit them, and I make it through the stage without a huge amount of issue. I believe this was actually my best stage of the day in terms of placement. I'm trying to hold up on the top left edge of the target. I'm trying to hold high because I'm having that elevation issue, and then I'm holding left because of the wind. Eventually make it through the rifle portion and move on to the pistol portion. This went actually pretty good. I didn't have a lot of trouble hitting these targets. I got a good reload in, so overall the pistol was pretty good. And that finishes out that stage. Alright, so now on to stage 7. So stage 7 was the stage with the furthest shooting. We went out to 650, which for an AK is kind of far. The stage starts with a single pistol shot on a relatively long-range target. I believe it's probably 40 or 50 yards. I didn't measure it, so I don't actually know for sure, but that's about what it felt like. Luckily, I hit that on my first shot. And then when I move to rifle, the first thing I do is shoot at the long-range targets. I shoot at the long-range target using the hold I was supposed to hold on those targets. And the feedback I got from that was, 1, I am still shooting about 2 MOA low, and 2, the wind, for whatever reason, had calmed down for me at this point. The people who went before me, they were having real big troubles with the wind on this stage, So when I went and shot that shot and saw that there was no wind, I was very happy. Once I got that, those first 2 targets went reasonably quickly because I had a good wind call and I knew my elevation was, still 2 MOA off. And then once I moved to the 2 further targets, again, they go relatively easily because I knew where to hold. And then on the second pass through, it went pretty much as smoothly as the first pass.
Hit!
Once I'm done with rifle, unload, draw pistol, and do one more shot on that pistol target. Get it? So my pistol accuracy was actually 100% on this stage, and that finishes out the match. Alright, so as far as the match results themselves go, my time was slow, my penalties were a lot. My rifle hits, I didn't hit a lot of the targets. Same with pistol. Well, I didn't even make it to a lot of the pistol targets, so that wasn't great. My rifle accuracy was about 36%, so I only hit about 1 in 3 shots that I took, which is, again, not great. Pistol was a bit better, at 50%. That, I think, would be a lot higher if that first stage wasn't in there with the left-handed shooting. That really dragged that down quite a bit. But, yeah. Overall placement for this match, I placed 42 out of 60, and then within my division, I placed 25 out of 37. Sort of. So the reason I say sort of is that I actually signed up for the match for gas open. I got moved into gas tack because I'm 760 by 39, and we talked about it with Chad, the match director, and he decided, nah, that can fit in tack. And then during the award ceremony, Chad decided to give me the trophy for the relic division. So these matches, he started doing a relic division, so if your gun is made before a certain date, you can qualify for relic division. I was under the impression that that date was 1964, but Chad kind of honorarily gave that to me because it's an AK, and the Tabuk itself does not meet the criteria for relic, but the AK does. So he was like, you know what, here, have it, here's your participation trophy. So yeah, I got first out of 1 in relic division. So whether or not you want to call that first place or last place, that's up to you. Yeah, there's a participation trophy. I'll take it anyway. It's cool. It's a cool trophy. So lessons learned from this match. Obviously, I need more information about this rifle. I really need to learn it. I need to learn how it behaves as it heats up. I need to learn the ammo, right? So this was the first match using that PMC ammo. So I definitely need more ballistic data using it. Ideally, in the future, I'll figure out what's going on with my suppressor because I'm pretty sure that this gun shoots better when it's suppressed. That was what I experienced with the AAC ammo. I have not tried it with the PMC ammo yet because I've been having the issue with the can coming loose. So I think I'll probably order some some Roxette, use a little bit of it on that can just to keep it together, not on the gun, just keep the can in one piece. And then hopefully that should fix those issues. I don't have a whole lot left to say about this match. If you have questions, please leave them below. If you want to tell me I'm bad, tell me I'm bad. Yeah. I'll see you in the next video.